Among the many customized pages in PowerSchool are two which allow us to collect information for the Office of Early Literacy and Learning, Early Childhood, and Read to Succeed. The reporting of data values for each child in pre-kindergarten and kindergarten grade levels is required for the state and federal governing bodies, as well as the South Carolina Education Oversight Committee, the Department of Education, the schools and districts who serve the children. Much emphasis is placed on analyzing data to determine best practice in the teaching of our youngest group of 3, 4, and 5-year-old children. When do we enter early learning data values in PowerSchool? Well, we want to ensure that your data are complete and correct by the 45th day of school. Any updates or changes that need to be made should also be prepared and ready for the 90th, 135th, and 180th days per your school calendars. You know that inaccurate or incomplete data fields can result in the loss of dollars. Populating all the fields with accurate information for these youngest members of our school population is quite a challenge, but our deadlines are very important to meet so that your schools receive appropriate funding for all programs provided to these children. There are many reasons why ELL data are collected besides the funding of our programs in which the children participate. Data analysis helps us evaluate the program quality that's provided to our children. It also helps us determine the training and professional development needs of our teachers and our helpers. And we track the longitudinal progress of our pre-K and K students throughout their educational lifetime. Reports must be provided to the governing committees to show that schools are following the requirements of the law. Some of these reports include the school report cards that are posted on our SCDE website. This slide provides an overview of the South Carolina Early Childhood page. You'll notice that it looks quite different from previous years. We've tried to consolidate some of the information. Over the next few slides, we will be breaking down the various sections into detail for each of the fields and values. The Early Childhood page in PowerSchool has 4 sections for data entry, depending on which grade level the student is enrolled. Note there are 3 main data entry sections for 3, 4, and 5-year students, and the bottom area for dial test scores. The 4th section provides fields in which test score values are entered for pre-K4 students served in the Special CERDEP program. This first section gives us very specific instructions. Complete the following data for pre-kindergarten and kindergarten students. So this is our starting point. You'll need to populate these fields the first time the student's enrolled in a pre-K or K program so that data analysts can determine information for initial status for each child in your school. The low birth weight field requires a yes or no to indicate the student weighed less than 5 pounds at birth or did not. You don't want to leave this field blank. There's no need to update the value in future years. The medical care source allows us to indicate the source the family generally uses for its medical care: free health clinic, emergency room, family physician, or other. You're to select for all pre-K4 students and for any K student who was not served in public pre-K4 the appropriate response. You may need to update this value from year to year, pre-K through K. You'll notice the special needs info field is now grayed out. This indicates that the Department of Education no longer collects the data for this field. The Add Level Mom/Female Guardian field allows you to indicate the highest education level attained by the mother or female guardian. Note alphabetical listing for associate degree, bachelor's degree, etc. Should the mother or female guardian continue to take classes or complete programs and attain a higher level of education, then you would update this field for the student. The years of education for the mom or female guardian is a field that we can populate from 1 to 30 where appropriate for the number of years the female guardian attended school. Again, this number may change from year to year if the mother is still continuing education. The Countdown to Kindergarten is a program for 5-year-olds only, so if a child at 5 years of age participated in this program, indicate by yes. This value should not change in future years. The Reason Not Served field is no longer used, so it's been grayed out, so you don't have to populate this one anymore. Notice the next section. You will complete data annually for pre-kindergarten children only, our 3 and 4-year-olds. For the early childhood placement field, you will select the classroom in which the 3 or 4-year-old student is placed for the current year. When this 3-year-old student moves to the next year, you will need to update the type of placement for the student. You'll note another field is grayed out, so you no longer need to populate information for the pre-K class type. For the Head Start program field, select yes if the pre-K 4 or 3-year-old attended a Head Start program. No matter which year this value is collected, the answer would remain the same for both years. Ensure that you select the correct class curriculum from the list provided for the student's current year. If pre-K 3 is the current year, then when students move to the 4K, the record will need an update. For the days per week served field, you have a choice of 1 to 3 days, 4 or more days. And this data value could change as the student promotes from pre-K 3 to pre-K 4. Family literacy services should be populated based on which family members participated in a family literacy program. Such programs include adult literacy, adult education, parent education, child development, or parent-child interactive literacy. In the case of a child, both parents, just the father, just the mother, perhaps the guardian, or none, can be selected for this student. The number of years a child participated in the family literacy program could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or more. Select the most appropriate value for the pre-K 4 students only. For income range, you can select the income range that's provided through the family. These data are needed for reporting purposes, and the codes 1 through 8 indicate the income range you may select for the child. Number 8 does give us parent refused to provide. For the tuition paid by parent or guardian field, you can select yes or no to indicate that the parent does pay tuition for the child to attend pre-K. Let's take a review question for a few minutes. If you could log into your test school server, select a student, navigate to the early childhood page, please do so. If you're on your production server, don't make any data changes, but think through the question. How would you populate the early childhood placement field and the class curriculum fields for a student in your school? Keep in mind, we know that you are a pre-K 3, 4, or 5-year school to code the data for the early childhood page. Think a bit. How do you indicate the student is enrolled in the special CERDEP program for Pre-K4? Which page would you use for indicating a student is served in CERDEP? If you need some help knowing which students are your CERDEP students in the 4-year program, contact your district ELL program coordinator who can provide you the list for your school. There have been a few updates to the prior child care and associated fields on the early childhood page. You no longer need to populate information for prior program type. This field has been removed. Prior provider public values are still unknown, Head Start and KPK public school. Prior provider R, which is private, no longer requires a prior provider, so it's been removed. Prior care for informal values are still relative or non-relative. Before we move on, we'd like to share these changes are reflected for 2021 school year data for pre-K and K students. Data for these 4- and 5-year students for the 2019-20 school year were first submitted during the first quarterly data upload. You don't need to revisit the values unless they're inaccurate fields for your data. In the for kindergarten only section, there still remains a prior child care set of fields that need to be populated. Indicate the last school attended or the previous child care setting for your pre-K4 child before he entered kindergarten. You can choose unknown, public, private, or informal/home. For prior child care for your kindergartner, when you select unknown as the prior child care value, the prior provider and prior class values default to unknown. When prior provider public has been selected for prior child care, the prior provider displays 3 values: unknown, Head Start, PK public school. For prior class, you have a selection of unknown, full day, or partial day when you select public as the prior child care value. When you select private as the prior provider for the child, there's no prior provider field displayed. However, there is a prior class from which to select unknown, full day, or partial day. If the students were served in an informal or a home for prior child care, you will select unknown, relative, or non-relative based on the status of the prior care. Data collected for DIAL-4 scores are used to screen students and assess where students are with current life skills. Contact your ELL office if you have any questions. The date tested can be chosen from the calendar picker. The test date is compared to the student's date of birth to ensure the age is appropriate. For number and percent for each subscale, you will populate the fields based on subscales. Who's responsible for entering these scores assessed? The teacher, a teacher's assistant, a PowerSchool data clerk? This person will need to enter the DIAL-4 test score data for students who meet the following criteria. For the purpose of CERDEP only, a child must be 4 years of age on or before September 1st of the current year. The assessment can be used for children whose ages fall between 2.6 and 5.11, and you enter scores for only one administration of the test. The initialization process for the early childhood page plays a valuable role in helping to keep data current each year. As a reminder, the enrolled status indicates if the student is active, pre-registered, or inactive. The fields that are initialized when your PS administrator runs the early childhood initialization process near the beginning of the school year are set to the default or cleared of previous data values. Always communicate with your administrator to know if the process has been completed before you begin updating values in these cleared fields. Early childhood placement, family literacy, Head Start, family literacy years, class curriculum, income range, days per week served, tuition paid by parent or guardian. At this time, we'd like to share information about coding changes required for reporting accurate data for the CERDEP expansion options. This 4K program is officially entitled the Child Early Reading Development and Education Program and is hosted through the Office of Early Literacy and Learning, a part of the College and Career Ready Division at the department. Over the last few years, districts have had additional expansion options that they may request and receive approval to serve as it relates to the CERDEP 4K program. These expansion options include adding classrooms, serving current students for an extended day up to 8.5 hours, serving current students with an extended year, and or serving current or incoming students with a summer program. This part of our training is to assist local districts in coding their approved expansion options for CERDEP. For procedural guidance, reference the Appendix C in the South Carolina School and Program Setup Guide for PowerSchool at this URL, ed.sc.gov/data/information-system/power-school/sys-documents. The Office of Early Literacy and Learning will need accurate data values for each of the fields on the PS Early Childhood page. Let's begin with CERDEP student eligibility. The district's early learning staff has a process in place to determine student eligibility and to communicate accordingly with their families. Students can meet eligibility requirements in two different ways. One way is to either become 4 years old before September 2nd and meet one of the risk criteria creating CERDEP eligibility. That is, have a documented family income 185% or less of federal poverty or meet Medicaid eligibility requirements. The second way is to meet both of the following criteria: become 4 years of age on or before September 1st, and if by July 1st, at least 75% of the eligible children are projected to be enrolled in public or private CERDEP, Head Start, or an ABC child care program, the student who scores below the 25th percentile on 2 of the 3 subscales in Dial 3 or Dial 4 can be eligible for enrollment into the CERDEP program. Now, for districts to receive funding for these CERDEP students, there are data requirements that must be met. Ensure that your student records are accurate. They reflect each student has a unique student identifier. We call that the SUNS number. Make sure your students are coded with CDEP 01 in the Special Programs area of PowerSchool. Ensure that the Dial 3 and Dial 4 test scores are accurately reflected on the early childhood page. Make sure the enrollment date is accurate. And again, make sure the child is age 4 on or before September 1st. Also, carefully verify your CERDEP students have the correct date of birth on the General Demographics page and activity codes are based on length of day served on his or her scheduled classroom. You want to note, funds for the expansion are allocated on a per pupil basis and are prioritized according to legislation. Districts may opt to serve current or upcoming 4K students in the summer program. Next, let's talk about coding the regular 180-day school year for students served with full day and extended day services. Note that the activity codes 1751 and 1752 are to be used. The 1751 activity code is used for coding pre-K full day programs in a public school. A district or federally funded developmentally appropriate full-day program for 4-year-olds adheres to best practices using research-based curriculum and assessment that must follow district and/or federal guidelines. The school day is equal to 6.5 hours. The 1752 activity code is used to code pre-K students for the extended portion of the day, where the district is increasing the length of the program school day from 6.5 hours for up to a max of 8.5 hours per day. During the regular 180-day school year, if a student is a full-day CertUp student, you'll use the 1751 activity code. If the student is an extended day CertUp student, you will use the 1752 activity code. And if the student is enrolled and attends both the full and extended programs, the student will have 2 classes or sections coded in 2 different periods during the day. Let's move on to code our students who are served during a summer session. A summer session, by definition, has a break between the end of the current school year and the first day of your summer session. Current and/or incoming 4K students may be served during this session. A specific activity code, 1751 SS00, designates the summer session. To identify CertUp students who are served during the CertUp summer program for 6.5 hours, you will schedule the student in a section using this 1751 SS00 activity or course code. If the student is also served 4 additional hours each day, you'll need to schedule him or her in a second class during a different period using the 1754 0000 activity or course code. Note, the 2021 activity coding system does not currently list the 1753 or the 1754 codes. Updates will be made for the guide in the next few months. We also need to share how to code students who are served with an extended year option. Specifically, there are no breaks between the last day of the current year and the first day of the extended year session during the summer term. An extended year allows the districts to extend the current school year to current 4K students from 180 days up to 220 days. A specific activity code, 1751 ES00, designates this extended year session. To identify CertUp students who are served during the CertUp extended year program for 6.5 hours a day, schedule these students into a section using the 1751 ES00 activity code. If these students are also served for additional hours each day, you'll need to schedule them in a second class during a different period using the 1753 0000 activity code. Note the 21-22 activity coding system does not currently list the 1753 or 1754 codes. Updates will be made for this guide in future months. So let's review some of these terms. For the 180-day or regular school year, the CertUp classroom must offer a full-day center-based program with 6.5 hours of instruction daily for 180 school days. For the extended day, regular school year, the CERDEP classroom may offer an extended day center-based program with an additional hour or more, but no more than 8.5 hours of instruction daily for these 180 days. There are two key areas to define with summer terms. This is important because according to legislation, the funds for the expansion options are allocated on a per pupil basis and are prioritized based on the type of service. The first thing to consider is what type of expansion is your district providing past the normal school year. The extended year allows the district to extend the current year to current 4K students from 180 days for up to 220 days. Districts must have submitted this request and received approval from the Early Learning Office prior to serving any students in order to receive the funding. For the summer session, a summer session allows the districts to provide a summer program to current 4K students or incoming 4K students. The summer session is limited to no more than 10 weeks in length. Districts must have submitted this request and received approval from the Early Learning Office prior to serving students in order to receive their funding. The next key area to define is the length of the day during the summer program. For districts electing to serve a summer program, they must offer at least a full day option to the CERDEP students. This means a full day of 6.5 hours. Or districts may provide an extended day during the extended year or summer sessions. The extended day hours may be no more than 8.5 hours per day. The expansion options document entitled Child Early Reading Development and Education Program Expansion Options, PowerSchool Coding version 1, provides backup information for district level setup procedures. The South Carolina School and Program Setup Guide, latest version, provides step-by-step procedures for setting up a new school or a new program for either the full school year or the summer terms. Appendices within this guide provide specific information for standard setup for each type of program, including CERDEP, Read to Succeed, also known as Reading Summer Camp, middle and high school summer programs or schools, etc. PS Community on the PowerSchool site provides an area for you to research online guides and knowledge-based articles. To give you an idea of how the CERDEP program map appears in South Carolina, the color codes indicate those counties where CERDEP programs are in place. The Office of Finance must have accurate counts for all students served in a school. This includes all pre-K, 3- and 4-year-old students participating in an educational program for instruction. Note, important information that's necessary in PowerSchool. All students must have a student state ID to be counted in enrollment for financial purposes. All 3- and 4-year-old students should be enrolled with these codes. E, entry code, and included in state reporting should be yes. This includes any student whose parents pay tuition fees. Ensure the EIA classification is selected for all pre-K 3 and pre-K 4 students, EC3 for pre-K 3, EC4 for pre-K 4. Ensure that all pre-K 4 students with visual handicapped or hard of hearing disabilities are coded for EFA primary. Enter transportation AM and PM modes students most often use. The Office of Federal and State Accountability require these fields are populated for your pre-K students. English proficiency, primary language, first language spoken, language for oral and written communication, and home language. All of these fields are populated on the South Carolina Student Information page and are reflected on the English as a Second Language page. The Office of Early Literacy and Learning will need accurate data values for each of the fields on this early childhood page. Verify carefully those students served through CERDEP. The student's date of birth for H4 before September 2nd, the student's activity code on his or her scheduled classroom, the student's enrollment in the special program for the CERDEP program, and the student's Dial 4 scores are populated accurately.